Look into my eyes and what do you see? A whole lot of liquidity coming to XDC. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're talking XDC network. In this one, the latest news from the XDC network centers around a subnet. Now, that may be a bit of a technical term for those who are new. In this video, however, I'm going to break it all down for you because this is going to bring a heap ton of liquidity to the XDC network. Let's just dive right in. We have a technical explanation of what's going on. Another reason why I love the XDC network. So a subnet replicates the XDC mainnet with customized configurations. It inherits all the highly desired features of the mainnet, including the state-of-the-art consensus engine, native EVM compatibility, high transaction capacity, 2,000 transactions per second, and direct access to all the great utility tools contributed by the active XDC developer community. This includes wallets, explorers, other builds. Don't worry, we'll get deeper into that in just a second. The main objectives, though, for this subnet is for enterprises who want to use XDC to be able to create a sovereign, permissioned, and high-performing blockchain fully owned by the customer, a security level of the subnet equal to that of the XDC mainnet, and of course the native EVM smart contract compatibility. One thing that stood out to me when I read this is a sovereign, permissioned, high-performing blockchain. The reason why permissioned blockchain is so appealing to me is because that's what the players at the top, that's what they're looking for. When I really get deep into the research, especially around payments, guys, that is often what I find. Let me take you back a couple months to the announcement of the Universal Digital Payments Network. It came out, it was Red Date Technologies, GFT, and DLA Piper from the Hedera ecosystem. But the one thing that stood out in that entire documentation, their interest in permissioned blockchain. So what's going to happen from here is once this subnet goes live, what you're going to start to see is a lot of the current XDC applications start to build out their offering. And I know this because Avalanche, all right, we're just going to use this as an example because Avalanche runs subnets. They've already established successful subnets, and they gave us a pretty good idea of what to expect. Some of the advantages of subnets: they will be virtual machines to specify their own execution logic, determine their own fee regime, maintain their own state, facilitate their own networking, so forth and so on. Each subnet's performance is isolated from other subnets in the ecosystem, so increased usage on one subnet won't affect another. Subnets can also have their own token economics with their own native tokens, fee markets, and incentives determined by the subnet deployer. If you know anything about Avalanche, their status when it comes to like mainstream adoption institutions, everybody's looking at Avalanche. So I brought up this example and their structure to kind of show you what the potential is. This is also how, and a lot of XDC holders love saying this is how XDC gets closer to Ethereum. It's still going to be some time, trust and believe. It's going to be some time before XDC and Ethereum are really going head to head. But if XDC's intent is to become another version of Ethereum, this is how it happens. When you go back to the architecture page, they go in to describe a relationship that's similar to what happens when people build tokens on the Ethereum network. Even though they're using ERC20, that original code base is coming from Ethereum. The exact same thing is going to happen now once these subnets launch. So what you have to do is you have to go over and take a look again at the XDC network ecosystem. These subnets are going to allow for XDC ecosystem players to create their own chains, to create their own assets. And when I look at some of these partnerships, some of them do have their own token situations going, but when I go down to the XDC builds, this is when I really got interested. So Fathom, they already have the FXD stablecoin. They're doing good with trade for next, opening up liquidity, so forth and so on. So it's likely that they won't be making use of a testnet. Globiant, same story. They got their own token, their own exchange. Now, here's a possibility you can't leave out too. these subnets being used to enhance what Fathom already has, or enhance what Globiance already has, or Comtech Gold for that matter. They can now start to build out subnets for individual, let's say, assets. So a subnet for gold, a subnet for silver, a subnet for platinum, palladium, however they want to do it, right? Another company that really has my attention, it's this one, Crescite. Now, I said that this is the organization that connects the XDC network to the Vatican. People thought I was crazy. However, if you look at their recent news and their Twitter activity, guys, it's very apparent. That's not the most important piece, though. What they're missing and what they're looking to do, actually, is include faith-based initiatives on the blockchain. What they currently don't have is the chain to do so. Now that XDC is coming out with these subnets, Crescite it will now be able to do what they had set out to do initially. And the same thing goes for another less spoken about XDC partner. Let's slide over here and talk about DC United. Okay. Now, I, much like you, want more to come out of this relationship. All-Star, MLS All-Star game is this month. I'm expecting some kind of announcement, but the whole thing is with the relationship with XDC and XDC United. Well, I called them XDC United. Ain't that something? The relationship between the two. We're waiting for this fan token platform to launch. I'm assuming that it's going to happen through prime numbers. However, now that they have a subnet, DC United can do it themselves. Are you starting to see the potential here, ladies and gentlemen? This is why so much more liquidity is coming to XDC. When you look into my eye, what do I see? A whole lot of liquidity coming to XDC. So the same logic can be applied to any of these enterprise institutional relationships, any of these wallet relationships. We just don't know what can come from it. We don't know what, let's just say SafePals, one of their biggest partners, what they may want to do now that they have a subnet. So here's another example, a new wallet to be created on the XDC network that allows you to access all of the XDC network assets in one spot. That's another potential here with these subnets, guys. So it's got me excited. The news came out a couple days back, and you know me, I like to let things sit. I like to let them meditate a little bit, so that way I can really dig in and get the best understanding. This is going to be big, guys. This is going to be pretty big. And I found something else this morning I want to share with you too, courtesy of stats.xdc.org. This is a list of the top 10 countries where XDC nodes are currently active. We're floating above the United States right now because the United States is actually ranked number 1 when it comes to XDC nodes. I find that to be very interesting. We just talked about 2 organizations who are very popular over here in the States. Crescite Innovation Corp, their offices is located right behind One World Trade Center. You know who they're talking to, who they're having lunch with. DC United. We're talking about Washington, DC United. Okay? Crescite Innovation, they're based in New York, like I said, but they have relationships with people in Washington, DC. And in several interviews, the heads of Crescite, they're looking to expand into DC, try to build more resources in that direction. After hearing that and looking at this node sheet, makes a lot of sense. US, okay. Singapore, that's the home base. I would expect that to be number 2. Germany, Czech Republic, and the UK. Very interesting to see the UK, guys, because another piece of news that came down the XDC loop, they have been added to the OTC trading, institutional OTC trading, courtesy of the B2C2 group. Interesting name, right? Let me look at this company. Let's take a look at this company real quick. So B2C2 is all about global crypto liquidity. They are a digital asset pioneer building the ecosystem of the future, as they say. What stood out to me, though, was the fact that they were founded in 2015 and acquired by Japanese financial group SBI. This was in 2020, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll also notice they're headquartered in the UK. Very interesting. Now, just to back up that what we just talked about here, Japanese powerhouse SBI becomes the world's first financial conglomerate to open cryptocurrency dealing desks by acquiring B2C2. So I remember looking at that SBI roadmap, and I believe this company was listed. So in essence, what we have here, guys, after SBI, the Japanese arm came in, got involved with B2C2. They made B2C2 the primary liquidity provider where institutional clients can now trade with SBI through B2C2's platform. Remember, headquartered in the UK with offices in the US and Japan. That means that they can serve those markets. My attention, though, is more so on the UK, and it's for this reason here. We have progression for this UK electronic trades documents bill. This is the catalyst that will push XDC to double digits. This is the one. First of many for sure, but this one right here, guys, I believe is the closest. Okay, so potential impact on the UK's incoming electronic trades document bill goes far beyond a boost to the country's trade prospects. This is a great article written in Trade Finance Global. Basically, they give us an update on the condition of everything, as well as some interesting facts that put everything into perspective for us. So, one thing I want to share with you, UK government estimates that globally there are nearly 30 billion paper trade documents printed every day. According to the UK government, going digital will reduce processing times from hours or days to just 20 seconds. And then you also see cutting carbon emissions by at least 10%. That's an overall overarching narrative here. The main reason that things are going digital is to address that carbon footprint, is to address the Agenda 2030 challenges. All right. So depending on how you feel about that narrative, you have to look at it like it's a double-edged sword. They're doing it with the aim of reducing carbon emissions. However, we are in the position to profit through the process. We're profiting from the process of digitization. I love how that sounds. Now, another thing I want to share with you. UK law is widely used today as the basis for trade agreements and transactions around the world. Instantly, any contract where parties agree on using UK law can be digital by default, rather than the result of negotiations between parties. And if something goes wrong, the digital trade documents can be presented in court. There are services right now that you can use, guys, and one that I like to bring up every time we talk about digitizing documents is Bernstein.io. I'm gonna leave a link to that as the pinned comment. What it allows you to do is verify your documents on the blockchain. You get a stamp, you get the timestamp, you get your blockchain address, you get the number, all of that things. That record is immutable, can't be taken away. If doing this now prepares you for how it's going to be in the future, ladies and gentlemen. Like they say, if something goes wrong, these digital trade documents can be presented in court. And depending on the type of system that they use, yeah, you can pretty much guarantee that that record won't be messed with. That's where we're headed here. Now, this is a quote from Chris Southworth, Secretary General of UK's International Chamber of Commerce, who is in the XDC network ecosystem. They state that it's a game-changing moment with so much of the world trade operating on English law, including 80% of all bills of lading. It is also the missing piece of the jigsaw in the digitization of trade. The legal requirement to handle commercial trade documents is holding up the implementation of new digital trade corridors, the scaling up of technological solutions, and the standardization of trade platforms, processes, and systems across both public and private sectors. This, again, it all seems to reverberate back to that Agenda 2023 video, which if you haven't had a chance to check out, we pretty much laid down the blueprint, guys, and the terms and the names that we have seen in the last 6 months: small to medium enterprises, account to account management, business to consumer, consumer to business, public private partnerships, global stablecoin arrangements. It's all here. It's all unfolding. And when it comes to XDC, this is a catalyst that, honestly, even if XDC wasn't here, would be happening. The fact that XDC is here and it's the #1 project focused in that direction? What else do I need to tell you? Now, last bit of this article. It also requires that a reliable system is used to verify documents are original rather than copies. It cannot be altered by unauthorized parties and cannot be controlled by more than one person at a given time. Remember the XDC subnets. What do they provide to enterprises? A sovereign, permissioned, high-performing blockchain. That's why the keyword permissioned is so important, is because when it comes to the blockchains or the fintechs that are going to contribute to this change, they want a permissioned chain. That way, if you do go to try to change something, you have to get through all of these layers of security first. That adds to the immutability. So XDC dropping these subnets, allowing for enterprises to create permissioned blockchains, which appeals to their interest centered around security, AML, KYC, all of that stuff, right? Again, that's what makes XDC one of my favorite assets. All right. Now, at time of writing, the bill is already at an advanced stage. It has been through all stages in the House of Lords, as well as 2 readings in the House of Commons. It is currently under examination by a parliamentary committee. Once that stage is complete, the bill will be read a 3rd time, final amendments considered, and a royal assent granted. Let me say that again. A royal assent will be granted. I love how the UK puts things into law, the terminology. I saw that term used a few weeks back when it comes to something else, but this is major, guys. This is major. Like I said, when you look into my eyes, what are you gonna see? A whole lot of liquidity coming to XDC. With that, though, that's all I got for this one. If you found value in the content, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so that way you don't miss the next episode. And as always, have a great day. Have a prosperous day. And most importantly, if that money is digital, so is the hustle. I'm Wade Teamer. I'll see you in the next one.